Christmas is here, He is here. Look around about you and see what a world of wonder this world can be. Sing a Christmas carol, 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 sing a Christmas carol like the children do. And the joy and the beauty, all the joy and beauty that a Merry Christmas can bring to
you. Once upon a time, upon a Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house.
Hello.
Hi. Good, thank you. A Merry Christmas, Uncle.
I'm back.
Handbag. Uncle, do you think Christmas is a handbag?
Of course, I mean that. Christmas is only an excuse not to work.
Uncle?
Go and celebrate Christmas on your way, and let me alone, and I celebrate Christmas on my way. Mine.
But keep it, but you don't keep it.
Leave me alone. I live in a wonderful and crazy world with stupid and idiots.
I've always thought of Christmas as an amazing time for giving, pleasant, charity, and an amazing time to be with family. It has never given me a scrap of silver or gold in my pocket, although I think it has done me good, and it will keep doing me good.
Wow, that's a wonderful speech. Good afternoon.
I will have my Christmas humor to the end. So, Merry Christmas, Uncle,
I say good afternoon.
and a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
His nephew left the room without an angry word, and he decided to go out and take fresh air.
Mr. Scrooge, at this festive season of the year, we could make some slight provision for the poor and destitute who suffer at a great time for being, and we need to provide meat and drinks. What should I put down for?
Nothing.
Should you be anonymous?
I wish to be alone. That's my answer. I don't make merry myself Christmas. In fact, I support prisons, warehouse. They cost too much. They must better there.
Many can go, but many would rather die.
They would rather die. They have better do it.
The hour of shutting up the counting house arrived. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern and went home to bed. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocking on the door of this house, except that it was very large, and yet Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker not a knocker, but a Marley's face. Marley's face, with a dismal light about it like a bad lobster in a dark cellar. As Scrooge looked at this, it was a knocker again. And closed the door with a bang. The sound resounded through the house like thunder. Every room above, and every cask in the wine merchant cellars below, appeared to have a separate peal of echoes of its own. Scrooge was not a man to be frightened by echoes. He fastened the door and walked across the hall and up the stairs. Up Scrooge went, not carrying the button for it being very dark. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. Quite satisfied, he closed his door and locked himself in. Double locked himself in, which was not his custom. Thus secured against surprise, he put on his dressing gown and slippers and his nightcap, and sat down before the very low fire to take his gruel. As he threw his head back in the chair, his glance happened upon a bell, a disused bell, that hung in the room.
I know him! Marley's ghost!
What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Better ask me who I was.
Who are you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. Do you don't believe me, don't you? Why don't you trust your senses?
Because a little thing affect them. You are nothing, wherever you are.
It is required that every man before he dies came back to walk around and finish his business. So tonight, I'm here to tell you that you still have a chance. You still have a hope. Still, 3 ghosts came for you, and they want to hunt you.
Mercy, therefore apparition. What do you want to tell me? And why they come to me?
Scrooge was very much dismayed to hear the spectre going on at this rate, and began to quake exceedingly. Scrooge tried to say humbug but stopped at the first syllable, and being from the emotion he had undergone, or the fatigue of the day, or his glimpse of the invisible world, or the conversation with the cows, or the lateness of the hour, he went straight to bed, without undressing, and fell asleep on the instant.
When Scrooge awoke, the church clock told a deep, hollow, swallow, melancholic. Light flashed up in the room upon the instant, and the curtains of his bedroom were drawn aside by the strange figure like a child.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past. Shall you walk with me?
Where we go?
For time Christmas is here. Look around about you and see. What is what can be.
As the words were spoken, they passed through the wall, and stood in a busy thoroughfare of a city. It was made plain enough by the dressing of shops that here, too, it was Christmas time. The ghost stopped at a certain warehouse door, and asked Scrooge if he knew it.
I know it! I apprentice here!
They went in a sign of an old gentleman in Westfield, sitting behind such a high desk that
If it had been 2 inches taller, he must be knocked his head against the ceiling. Scrooge cried in great excitement.
Why, it is the old Fezziwig! Bless his heart, it is Fezziwig alive again!
You there! Prisoner's Dick!
A living and moving pictures of Scrooge for myself. A young man came bristling in, accompanied by his fellow apprentice.
You, my boys! No more work tonight. It's Christmas Eve. Let the shooter at Robinson, please. Clear away, and before a man can say, Jack Robinson.
You were everything. You were new to me. You were spring. You were true to me.
Clear away. There was nothing they wouldn't have cleared away, or wouldn't have cleared away with all facing looking up. It was done in a minute. The warehouse was as snug and warm and dry and bright a ballroom as you would decide to see upon the winter's night. In came a finger with a music book, and they went up and looked at desk and made an orchestra of it, and tuned like 50 stomach aches. It came Mrs. Faces, one bass smile, in came the 3 Mrs. Wiss, beam and lovable. They all came one after another. Some chilly, some bubbly, some gracefully, some lovely, some pushing, some pulling, and they all came off, anyhow and everyhow. Away they all went, 20 couples at once, half around, and back again the other way, down the middle and up again, round and round, top couple ways turning up in wrong place. They a club, sub 11. This ball broke up. Mr. and Mrs. Fishing shake hands in every person, or she or he went out, wishing him or her a Merry Christmas.
A small matter. To make this silly folk so full of gratitude, he has to spend but a few pounds of your money. 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much that he deserves this praise?
It isn't that the spirit, he has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service a pleasure or a toil. Say that the power lets on words of looks. A spirit, remove you from this place. The first was killing 1 o'clock. The second was will come 2 o'clock.
As he struggled with the spirit, he was conscious of being exhausted and overcome by the irresistible downside, and further of being in his own bedroom. He had barely time to read to bed before he sank into a heavy sleep.
Scrooge awoke in his bedroom. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove. The leaves of holly, mistletoe, and ivy reflected back the light, and such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney. Heaped upon the floor, to front a kind of thrones were turkeys, geese, great joints of meat, pigs, long red sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red hot chestnuts, cherry hicks apples, juicy orange, luscious pears, great bowls of punch, and immense 12 cakes. Upon this couch there sat a giant glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch.
Coming, and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look at me. You have never seen the like of me before. Touch my robe.
Scrooge did as he was told, and held it fast. The room and its contents all vanished instantly, and they stood in the city streets. Upon a snowy Christmas morning, Scrooge and the ghost passed on, invisible, straight to Scrooge Clarence. And on the threshold on the door the spirit smiled, and stopped to bless both Cratchit's dueling with the sprinklings of his torch. Then up rose Mr. Cratchit.
What have ever got your father and your brother Tiny Tim?
No, there is father coming! It's yours. Okay.
Hi.
And how did little Tim behave?
As good as gold and better. Somehow he got thoughtful, sitting by himself so much, and think the strangest things that you have ever heard. He told me coming home, and he hoped that he was to the church, and because he was a crippled man. It might be pleasant to them to remember upon Christmas Day.
Master Peter and the two young Cratchits went to fetch the goods with which they soon returned in high procession. Mr. Cratchit made the rabbit ready beforehand and either saucepan, hissing hot. Master Peter made the potatoes with incredible vigor. Miss Belinda sweetened up the apple sauce. Martha did the hot plate, but put Tiny Tim beside him in a teeny corner the table. The two young Cratchits and chairs for everybody, not forgetting themselves and crank sponge into their mouths, lest they should cheer for goods before their turn came to the house. At last the dishes were set on, and great was said. It was set by a reader. Pause, asked Mr. Cratchit, looking slowly all along the carving knife, prepared to plunge in its breast, but when she did, and when the long-expected of stuffing issued forth, one murmur of delight arose all around the board. And even Trinity excited me and two young Cratchit being on the table with the handle of his knife and frivolous cried.
Hurrah!
But now the place being changed by Miss Belinda, Mr. Cratchit left the room alone to take the pudding out and bring it. Mr. Cratchit entered smiling proudly with the pudding, like a speckled cannonball so hard and firm, placing in half of a quarter of ignited brandy, and beaten with the Christmas holly stuck into the top.
A beautiful day that I dream about, in a world I would love to see, is a beautiful place where the sun comes out and it shines in the sky for me. On this beautiful winter's morning, if my wish could come true somehow, then the beautiful day that I dream about would be here and now.
Ghost of the future, I fear you more than any specter I have seen. Are you going to talk with me? Let on, Spirit. The night is too long and I need this precious time to me. Let on.
I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
What has he done with his money?
I haven't heard. He hasn't left it to me. That's all I know.
They scarcely seemed to enter the city, for the city rather seemed to spring up about them. But there they were in the heart of it amongst the merchants.
Spirit, tell me, what happened here? Why this person is dead?
The scene had changed, and now he almost touched a bare, uncurtained bed, a pale light, rising in the outer air, fell straight upon this bed, and on it, unwatched, unwept, uncared for, was the body of this unknown man. The ghost conducted him to poor Bob Cratchit's house, the dwelling he had visited before, and found the mother and the children seated round the fire. Quiet, very quiet. The noisy little Cratchits were as still as statues in the corner, and sat looking at Peter, who had a book before him. The mother and her daughters were engaged in needlework, but surely they were very quiet. The mother laid her work upon the table, and put her hand up to her face.
The color hurts my eyes. They are better now. It makes them weak by candlelight, and I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home. I have known him work with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder, very fast indeed. His father loved him so much so that there was no trouble. And there is your father at the door.
Daddy!
You went to date them, Robert?
Yes, my dear. I wish you would have seen such an amazing paradise with so much green. But I promised him that you would go, that I would walk every Sunday, so you could go there.
Oh, Spirit, this moment is so beautiful. But tell me, who was the person who was dead? Tell me.
The ghost of Christmas yet to come conveyed him to a dismal, wretched, ruinous churchyard. The spirit stood among the graves, and pointed down to one. Scrooge crept towards it, trembled as he went, and following the finger, read upon the stone of the neglected grave in his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, no, Spirit, no. Tell me this is not me. Spirit, no, I need another opportunity. I'm a good man now. I love Christmas. No, Spirit, please, give me another opportunity. Take me to home, please. To home, I'm going to go home.
Holding up his hands in one last prayer to have his fate reversed, he saw an alteration in the phantom's hood and dress. It shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into bedpost. Yes, and the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own, the room was his own, best and happiest of all. The time before him was his own, to make amends in. He was checked in his transport by churches ringing out the lustest peals he had ever heard. Running to the window, he opened it and pulled out his head. No fog, no mist, no night, clear, bright, starring, golden day.
Hey, boy! What day is today? Eh? What day is today?
Why? Today is Christmas Day.
Christmas Day! I didn't miss it! Can you do me a favor?
Yes, please.
Go and buy a turkey, the biggest one.
What? The one as big as me?
No, bigger.
Okay.
So you are going to say to the seller that that turkey is for both crushed, okay? But don't tell him who bought the turkey.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I will do.
Good evening. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Good
Christmas.
evening.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
He was early at the office next morning. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit's coming late. The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1/4 past. No Bob. Bob was full 18 minutes and a half behind this time. Bob's hat was off before he opened the door. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen, and if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.
Hey, I am so sorry. I am late. I am so sorry.
Yes, you are late, but don't worry. Sit down, please. I need to talk with you. Sit down. Okay, Bob. You are a good boy. You are a good man, a good father, and I'm going to raise your salary, okay? You are going to buy the medicines for your child, okay?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are very generous.
Okay,
man.
don't
Thank
worry,
you,
don't
thank you.
worry, go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good as friend, as good as master, and as good as a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or border, and the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but his own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.